Welcome to NPC Nintendo News Minute. I'm your host, N64 Josh. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at a number of Nintendo news bites, and we're going to dig into the topic of what will Nintendo's Q1 look like if the Switch 2 does not release until end of Q1 or early Q2. Before we jump into it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. First up for our Nintendo news bite, it looks like Night Dive's The Thing Remastered is sneaking onto consoles this week. That's if Xbox Wire is to be believed, and this comes via Nintendo Life. The Thing Remastered is going to be a very spooky game, I can tell you that. I vaguely remember the first one, but it is a movie that I loved as a kid, and it was not for the faint of heart. And there was a remake and another remake. I think there's a total of 3 different versions of The Thing, one dating way back into like the 50s or 60s, I believe. So this game is supposedly coming out on the 5th of December. We're gonna have to wait and see if it's gonna make its way to the Switch, but it should be available on Xbox Game Pass and on current consoles, if everything here is to be believed. We can tell you this for sure, looking at some of the tweets here between some people and the developers. It says December release. This is from Turn Off the Dark. And the Night Dive Studios replied, yes, The Thing Remastered will release in December with eye emojis. So looks like it is going to be happening in December and possibly even as soon as this week. So if it makes it to the Switch, let me know if you're going to be diving into The Thing. Tetris NES joins Tetris 99 this week, and Nintendo tweeted out that the 43rd Tetris 99 Maximus has officially been announced, and it's going to be Tetris NES. They also released Tetris NES on the Nintendo Switch Online, or it's coming soon if you didn't see that yet, and it's coming 12/12, I believe. And so this is a game, again, near and dear to my heart, like I said in yesterday's show, and I'm going to jump in just to try to unlock some of these skins here. I'll play the video real quick, and you can see some of the artwork. Like, it looks just like it did back in the day. I'll be honest, when I play Tetris 99, I typically put on the Game Boy skin because I just love the way it looks. It's so nostalgic for me, and I just have so many fond memories of playing that back when it launched. And so I will be jumping into this one. I haven't jumped into many of the Tetris 99s as of late, but I will be jumping into this one. Next up, we have Nintendo considered giving up on Mario and Luigi before approaching Acquire. This is via Nintendo Life here, and Nintendo's been doing a series of Ask the Developer, and Mario and Luigi has been the team that they've been interviewing or sitting down with recently. And so from the article here, it says, after the sad closure of the longtime Mario and Luigi developer Alpha Dream, many fans had given up hope that the new entry in the franchise would see the light of day. Now, according to the new Ask the Developer feature, it seems even Nintendo was close to throwing in the towel before approaching Acquire to commence co-development on Mario and Luigi Brothership. The interview gathers a handful of the development team from Nintendo EPD and some of the designers and the director from Acquire, and delves into the conception and development of the game ahead of its launch earlier this year. Of course, for a long time we've been having a number of internal discussions about a new installment in the series following Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. We needed to aim for something new that would keep up with the hardware announcement whilst maintaining the appeal of the classic Mario and Luigi games. It wasn't easy to achieve both at the same time. We kept trying various things, but there was a time when we thought it might not be possible to make any more games in the series and considered giving up. There's a lot of discussion, and eventually we decided to reach out to Acquire. After speaking a number of times with Ohashi-san, I felt that Acquire might be able to realize our dream of making Mario and Luigi in 3D, so we agreed to start joint development. Of course, it was also important to keep that Mario and Luigi-like feeling, so we also had some former Alpha Dream 4 staff members who were involved in the development of the previous titles in the series join the the project. And honestly, it's really good news. And even the article here says, "Phew, that's good news." I have been playing this game over the last few weeks. Nintendo sent me a copy, and I have been having a really good time with it. It's not a lean forward kind of RPG. You're not going to be like grinding and sweating and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very much a relaxing RPG, very lighthearted, whimsical, and I'm having a great time with it. And so if it's on your list, you were wondering if it's worth picking up, absolutely it is. And really glad to see that they did not give up on this series, because this is my first time experiencing this series, and it does seem to have just so much charm. So I'm very thankful that they were able to keep it going. Next up, Nintendo left Sony standing at the altar with the SNES disc add-on, says former PlayStation exec. And this is so true. It's kind of crazy, and I'm curious how far the article will dive into it here. So it says those with an appetite for Nintendo history likely will have heard of the SNES PlayStation, the Super Nintendo PlayStation, a collaboration between Nintendo and Sony, which was intended to bring CD-ROM gaming to the former's latest console. The partnership never materialized, naturally with Nintendo announcing it that was pivoting to work with Philips at the same event that Sony would unveil the console. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. It's one of the most notorious double crosses in gaming history, and now, in celebration of PlayStation's 30th birthday, former Sony executive Sean Layden has shared what the jilting felt like from the other side. So let's take a look at some of the quotes here. It says, obviously we were going to build, or rather we built, an optical drive peripheral for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo realized cartridges had already maxed out their memory footprints, and so we, or rather Ken Kutaragi, created the compact disc technology to support the SNES. And we were just about ready, and I think it was at CES 1993, we were going to announce the partnership, and Nintendo left us standing at the altar after they did a pivot at the last minute and went with Philips. So there was Ken, proverbially standing at the altar with his optical drive in his hands, and indignant, he went back to the leadership at Sony at that time and said, all I need is an OS and some more connecting issues for this thing, and we can build our own game machine. We moved out of Sony's headquarters to a place in Aoma, which is about 20 miles away, but more in the entertainment district of Tokyo, because they felt it was important to the DNA of the company, and that was probably the best decision the company made. And when you get into the history of this thing, there's books like Console Wars and things like that. It's honestly crazy what Nintendo did to Sony that day. Like, they were ready to take the stage and unveil the Nintendo PlayStation, and Nintendo said we partnered with Philips. Like, and then I've seen other snippets from these interviews with Sean Layden where, like, they were taking Square executives out to drinks, buying them drink after drink to get them to put Final Fantasy exclusively on PlayStation. And it worked. Like, it's one of the craziest things. Like, what would history, like, what would the world look like right now if Nintendo and Sony had teamed up? It's just crazy to think about. It's absolutely crazy to think about. But here we are, 30 years later, the PlayStation is here, thanks to Nintendo and business decisions that were made that still, to this day, blow my mind. Lastly, Nintendo expands Switch Online's Game Boy library with another classic. Donkey Kong Land 3 is now available on NSO. That means you can play Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3 all on your Nintendo Switch. Some of these games, I mean, I don't think they were received super well, but if you're a huge fan of Donkey Kong, and especially like the Donkey Kong Country series, come January, as far as I know, you're going to have access to every single one of the Donkey Kong Country games. I think they're all on SNES. I'd have to double check for sure. But if you are a fan of this series, you are eating well on the Nintendo Switch. And my hope is that when it comes to the next system, that all of the games from each entry, not just Donkey Kong, Zelda, Mario, Star Fox, all of it, Metroid, that we get every single first-party game from all of the past consoles on this next system. And I have a whole video coming out about it, or maybe we'll cover it as a topic in tomorrow's show. But I really hope I really hope that Nintendo can make that a reality for us. So if you're a fan of the Donkey Kong series, make sure to go check out Donkey Kong Land 3 if you've never played it before. Now, let's jump on over to our main topic, and what is Nintendo going to do quarter one or beginning of quarter two in 2025? So with so many rumors yesterday and leaks, supposed leaks, all the things that we saw yesterday, Switch 2 case, plus tempered glass, seemingly leaked on Alibaba. There's even a picture of a logo, supposedly. We're looking at the case right now, and I'll scroll through to the end to see if they don't have the logo on this site, but there's the screenshot of the screen protectors, the case, and would Nintendo already put out their logo? That's a question that I don't really think they would, but who knows? Maybe they would. I kind of doubt it though, and especially these companies seem just a bit shady to already be launching these things. So I don't think that they would have access to the Switch 2 logo quite yet. I don't think Nintendo's putting that into too many people's hands, if any, at this point. From the leaker yesterday, we were told that there's not enough inventory yet for Nintendo to be able to do a full launch in March, which has been a discussion within the Nintendo community for the past week or so, and that it's looking more like a late June, early July release window. With that being the case, what do we think Nintendo is going to do over the next 6 months? We've got Donkey Kong Country Returns HD coming out in January. And then we have Xenoblade Chronicles X coming out in March, with nothing slated for February yet, which I think there's a possibility that we see a Metroid Prime 2 remastered either in December or February. Pure speculation there, but with that new book that they released, I think there's just something in the air that there may be another Metroid Prime around the corner. And fingers crossed there is, because I really, really want to play that second game. And I really hope they do as good a job as they did with Prime Remastered, because that is chef's kiss. Absolutely love it. But what else are we going to see from Nintendo? Well, if you've been listening to any of the shows, you know that I'm very much on the side that believes remakes and remasters are going to be Nintendo's bread and butter to continue supporting the Switch 1 while adding brand new games to the Switch 2 to show what that system is capable of doing. That being said, what do we see up until the release of the Switch 2? Well, there's still a handful of games that are sitting in the Wii U library that we have not seen make their way to the Switch yet. There's the obvious ones like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but there's even Paper Mario Color Splash, which I know not a lot of people even bring that up in the conversation, and I don't know that it's well loved enough to even receive a port or a remake, but maybe there's a possibility. There's also so many DS and 3DS games and GameCube games that Nintendo could still add to the Switch's library. I also think that there's a very real possibility that we see Nintendo start to do some big pushes and price reductions of first-party software and hardware. I think there's a very real possibility that we see a Nintendo Select or a Player's Choice line where they reduce the price of first-party games. I think we also see a price cut in the hardware once the announcement of the Switch 2 has happened. And I think there's going to be somewhat of a push to continue moving Switch units. And I understand, the new system's going to be out. Who's going to go out? There are still so many people that do not have a Switch in their household. And to be able to get it at a discounted price and to get access to games that are going to be cheaper, I still, if you guys maybe have heard me say that, I think Nintendo needs to offer with Nintendo Switch Online the voucher program for Nintendo Selects or Player Choice, where people could get 3 games for $100. This is going to be a huge savings, and it's going to give more opportunity for people to be playing these games, and it keeps them signed up for Nintendo Switch Online. Not only that, think about all of the current Switch player base that doesn't own every single first-party game, but if they make their way into that Player's Choice and they can get 3 of them for $100, that's an incredible deal. So do we see something like that? I believe so, but what do you think? Make sure to let me know in the comments below what you think Nintendo is going to do for Q1 and the beginning of Q2 before the Switch 2 releases. Do you think they go silent? I don't think so. And I think there's an opportunity for them to keep releasing games on the current Switch, as we're seeing with Donkey Kong HD Remake and Xenoblade Chronicles X. There's so many games that they could choose from, and so many different systems that they could pull from, that the options are unlimited. And remember, these games work on the Switch too. So it's not like people are buying something that's then going to become obsolete as soon as they get the new console. They can keep playing those games, and there's an opportunity for them to even look better when they finally decide to upgrade to the new system. I think there's going to be a lot of strategic marketing on Nintendo's part, where they market the old Switch and the games at a discounted price, while then really getting the push going for the Switch 2. And I think it's going to be kind of fun to watch this all take place. They told us from the get-go that they were not going to just roll this console out like they've done in the past. It's going to be something different. And I'm really excited to see how it goes. So, love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.